Hello, long time no see, guys. It's Fletch here. You know, I'm sorry I haven't been able to upload in the last week and a half, but I recently had a accident back on the 18th. As you can see, I'm back in the old car for now. All I can say right now is be careful when you're in those traffic circles, because there are people out there that think that they have the right of way when entering in, even if there's a vehicle in the traffic circle. The guy clipped me on the rear passenger tire and spun my Odyssey around, and I ended up on a median strip. And I'm not going to be getting my vehicle back for another, let's see, today is now the 17 days. So I am out of work until that time. And this guy's going to find that out. So, alright, where to start? There was a argument I was having with someone today about the transgender bathroom situation, and how I thought it was wrong of what Trump did, and by way of saying that he was going to, keep the protections in place for LGBT people, and then all of a sudden he let this go back to the states, and a lot of the states are going to go ahead and rescind it and make it so that transgender people cannot use the bathrooms in which they identify with. And I want you to put this into perspective. I want you to understand where they are coming from, because I happen to have a lot of friends who are trans, and it really saddens me that this is going on. A male to female transgender person going into the women's room, all they want to do is just go to the bathroom just like anybody else. But this, going back to the states is going to allow people to yell and scream at them and kick them out. Now, if they're passable for a female, I mean, if you couldn't tell most of the time, what's the problem? There are stalls there for privacy. What the person doing in the other stall is none of your business. If they're going to the bathroom, they're going to the bathroom. If they're putting on makeup, who cares? But now this is making it so that the ones who are not fully passable yet, it's going to be unfair to them, because now they're going to have to go into the male bathroom and take a risk of getting the crap beat out of them or harassed in other ways. And the person that I was talking to, their whole argument so far, because I'm not done with them yet, was that the majority rules. But my argument is that just because it's the majority that is saying that this is the way it should be, does not automatically mean that it's the correct way. For example, the majority of the world knows circumcision, knows that infant male circumcision is wrong, that it's a human rights violation. But American doctors don't care. They'll push it on parents that aren't educated on the subject. They'll push it on parents, telling them it's something that's needed to be done. It's something that's a preventative, and they'll use false and outdated reasons. They'll even use flawed studies to push the agenda of circumcision. Why? because it makes them money every time they do one of the procedures. Not only that, but they can turn around and sell the tissue to laboratories and cosmetic companies. You don't believe me? Look it up. It's been on Oprah, and it's been on Steve Harvey. It's been covered by Scientific America. But as I said, just because it's a majority that says something should be done that way doesn't mean it's correct. The majority of women in America think that foreskin is gross, therefore it should be gone. But foreskin is what protects the male penis. Well, the penis. Foreskin is what's there to help keep it clean, to help keep it from drying out. But they don't know that. Why? Because they're not taught that in school. We're not taught that in sex ed. We're not taught that in anatomy classes over here in America. Why? Because the majority, believes that it's a non-issue. If you are told something long enough, you're going to start to believe it. And this has been going on since the 1800s over here, the early 1900s. That this has been pushed upon parents as something that needs to be done. It was originally brought over as a way to curb masturbation by John Harvey Kellogg. Don't believe me? Again, look it up. It's annoying when people are like, well, obviously, there's not a lot of men that complain, when there are a lot of men that complain. One of my friends on Facebook, who's also an anti-activist, has a long list of people who wish they were not circumcised, me included. And for obvious reasons. We know that it's wrong, and we know that there are problems associated with it. That it actually does more harm than it does good. The main reason it was done was to curb our sexual pleasure. Now, if you're going to say, oh, well, what about the religion? There's been rabbis that have said that it was originally done to curb lust. It was originally done to curb sexual pleasure. Because it was figured that if it was too pleasurable, you're going to go rampant with it. So all these women who argue that it has nothing to do with sexual pleasure, as far as I'm concerned, can go fuck themselves. If you look back far enough, you will see that that is the reasons it was done. It has changed in the religious sector so fucking much. It was originally a blood ritual to where they would just scrape off the very tip of the foreskin, leaving the glands fully covered. But the rabbis didn't agree with that. The Jewish Authority didn't agree with that, because at one point in time, Jewish men were being considerate of the areas that they lived in, which was Greece at the time where this really happened, where they decided to change it up. Excuse me. In Greece, it was considered commonplace to be nude in the gyms. It was commonplace to be nude at the Colosseums when in the games, the Olympic Games and all. They didn't wear togas. They didn't wear anything like that. They were completely nude. And it was considered in bad taste and taboo if your glands were seen in public like that. Greek men were not were not circumcised, so they had the foreskin covering. But at the time, there were Jewish men who wanted to make sure that there were no slip-ups. No pun intended. So they would pull the skin forward and tie it. And they would do so in such a way to make sure that their glands never became seen. Well, the Jewish authority at the time saw that as being blasphemous and changed the ritual to where you cannot be mistaken for being not circumcised. And it went from the pariah to the bris, or bar mitzvah. I gotta get my terms a little bit on that, but it went from what was at the time to what we know now. Let's put it that way. And there's a lot of Jewish people that don't know this. There's a lot of Jewish people that don't want to know this, because that would mean that, that would put a little bit of a question into other rituals. That would put a question into the validity of the rituals that they have done. I mean, there's a ritual that is done by Orthodox Jews that even a lot of, non-Orthodox Jews find disgusting and appalling. And that is called the Mitzvah B'Peh. I hope I said that right. In which, after the cut has been made, after the skin has been removed, the rabbi will use his mouth to suck off the blood. But it's legal because it's a religious ritual. This is something that I find truly disgusting, but it's allowed. And it's allowed, as I said, because it's a ritual done by a religion. The majority is not always correct. Please, people, understand this. In America, the majority believes that circumcision is not an issue when it actually is. There are a lot of men out there who are harmed, who find out later in life that it has caused damage to them, but they don't speak up because nobody is willing to listen to them. There are people out there who have actually taken their lives because nobody wants to listen to them. Nobody cares about their issues, about their problems, because they're men. There are people whose whole life right now is dedicated to stopping this barbaric procedure, and I'm one of them. And I am doing it because of those who can't speak. I am doing it for those who are suffering but refuse to speak because they feel ashamed. I've said this before, and a lot of you may not get how severe this is. I may actually not be able to have another child with my wife because of how badly mine is. My daughter might be my one lucky, time I was able to have a child with my wife. This is going to be a short video. And it's mainly because it has been said to me by my wife that maybe I should shorten these up. That a lot of people don't want to hear somebody rant for 30 minutes. And I understand that. So for the time being, I'm going to end it here. But please realize that just because the majority of people say something is right doesn't mean that it is. The majority might not be as educated as the minority. The majority had started out as a minority at one point in time. So, I will talk to you all later. I look forward to hearing from you and hearing your remarks and comments. Let me know if you think I should keep it at under 30 minutes. I will talk to you all later. I thank you very much.